Evening all. If you're here looking for everything GPVWC Superleague, you've come to the right place here on simnews.tv. I'm the Scrutineer, and we're going to go through everything there is to know about the Spa race this coming Thursday, right now. Hello and welcome, my fellow Scrutineers, fellow GPVWC members, fellow fans of sim racing in general and esports. Welcome everybody, hello. Yes, I'm back, whether you want me to be back or not, I'm still here. It's nice to see a good few of you watching away, which is nice, thank you. Hopefully some more may join in the meantime. I know it's quite late for a lot of you, but it's worth going through. We've got an incredible race coming up on Thursday. I'm sure it'll be incredible. I can say it now because the rest of the season has been already. So I imagine this one will be just as bad for everybody else, basically. We're going to go through, as per normal, we're going to go through absolutely everything. We're going to go through the car upgrades, we're going to go through the engine upgrades, we're going to go through the engine choices, tyre choices, have a look at the overall development of everybody, look at the driver lineups, we're going to look at everything, predictions at the end of it as well. Hello to some guys in the chat already. We've got Cameron Roger in there, we've got David Fider, who else have we got? We've got Yuri in there, Dennis Jordan, hello everybody. Nice to see you all, some regulars as well. I do hear the flag to flag guys to try and make this a bit of a chat together, watching this together, which is nice. Maybe a drinking game, maybe there's an idea there. In fact, that might be brilliant at this time. I might even join in myself. We'll have to come up with that for the next time. I'm sure there's still plenty of rounds of this to go. We're at round 12 now of Belgium at Spa. Incredible track, of course, has been used, I'm pretty sure, every year at GPV. This year, obviously, been no exception. Michael Ayres, hello as well. Thanks to you joining us. We're going to go through the championship standings. We're going to go through in order that way to find out who's got the best cars, who's got that sort of stuff. Because if you haven't watched GPVWC before, then where have you been? What have you been doing? Well, it's great that you found it eventually. It's a series where it's the most realistic team event in sim racing you can get. There's car upgrades and developments. Not all the cars are equal. They have all equal chances to be, but it's up how the teams develop the cars, what the drivers decide to do, what the team managers decide to do. There's finances, there's loads of stuff. If you don't know about it, you can catch it all on simnews.tv. We were doing this show for the past 6 months now. You can catch us, look all the way back to January when they were doing bidding and staff hiring and testing and all that sort of stuff. Make sure you go and catch all that sort of malarkey. If you don't, then thank you, Friedrich. Yes, my hair, thank you, or lack thereof. But yes, I did get out the bowling ball buffer, give it a bit of a rub for luck and all that side of stuff. But thank you. Yeah, so we'll get into that. So let's go through the cars. So ACR leading the championship still. Their car this time out. They brought one upgrade on body drag. They've started a new area, body drag. Previously done rear wing downforce, and before that had only done weight and diffuser until they've now maxed out both those areas. We'll come on to weight and diffuser a bit later on with everybody. It's a common theme that if you haven't watched any previous of these series so far, most teams have decided to do weight and diffuser. It's now getting interesting as to where they're developing after that. So ACR have gone down the rear wing and now looking at the start of body drag. Edge, on the other hand, they've gone a bit of a different route because they hadn't developed weight and diffuser earlier at the very start. They'd started front wing and things like that. They have brought a development onto the weight, so that's at 99%. That's basically maxed out now. There's going to be no point in doing that 1% because it still takes you that 21 days as a bare minimum for any upgrade, whatever the percentage is. So even if you put 1% on, it's going to take you 21 days. So that basically fills up a slot. It would be irrelevant to do. So that's them done on that one. So it'll be interesting where they put that after that. Nice to see some other people joining us. Hello, Jarrett, Cody. I don't know who Light Cruiser is, but nice to have you on board as well. Michael Ayres, hello. Lots of guys around. We've got Epic kicking in. So Epic sort of led the way this year, really, in development and what all the other teams should be doing. They've got 2 upgrades to this event, both 14% extra, and they've done front wing downforce and body drag. The same 2 areas that they'd done last time out as well, so they've carried on that element. They did weight and diffuser, and now they've started doing front wing and body drag. Nothing particularly different, but just upgrading those areas. It would suggest that might be the areas they think are next best, so they will develop those 2 areas going forwards, which is very similar to Edge when you look at that as well. Evolution next up, doing very well as a new team as well, and they have kind of gone very similar to Epic in that respect, and they've got 2 new upgrades this time out, and both on body drag and front wing downforce. They have done rear wing downforce previously, so that's something that Epic hadn't done, but it's interesting that they've started off 2 brand new areas, which is why it's only at 12%. We know this year that it does get faster the more you develop an area. Bit weird that you'd think it would slow down, but it doesn't. We've gone through that in the past, not going to keep covering it, but this time out, so starting off at 12% there, whereas for example Epic, who have done it previously in roughly the same time frame, will have got 14%. Makes a difference when you over the whole season. Hawkeye still sitting there in 5th place. They have brought quite a sizable upgrade to the weight category, 37%, so that maxes out that area. And they've also brought another sizable one of 25% to the front wing downforce. You see the difference here in the when you're high up on the development area of a certain point, it develops quite quickly. They may have done longer developments as well, there is that factor involved, but it doesn't necessarily mean that. But they have maxed out weight and diffuser now, and they're at 81% on the front wing downforce, so they arguably could be one of the first teams to max out 3 areas, but they haven't developed anywhere else yet. Nordson still sitting on 6th, clinging on to, I don't know, they did quite well last time. Haven't bought anything this time. They did 2 sizable ones of 25% last time out on weight and diffuser, so they haven't been able to bring anything to this one, so I'd expect them to bring something next time out, which is Monza. Kind of makes sense if that's the way they want to go, I suppose, to maximise their development. It's sort of the classic old school develop for every other round. Some teams we've seen earlier in the season with Edge, for example, did 1 every round rather than 2 and then none and 2 and then none. Epic were doing theirs every 21 days exactly, so they did get in extra developments. So that seems to be, I'm going to call that the new style of things. This is a bit of the old style of things, but that's understandable. They are the longest serving team on the grid by a country mile, really, so I think they've done about 17, 18 years here. Adonis, they have brought an upgrade. They've brought an upgrade to weight, and they've maxed out their weight area now. So they had 99% on diffuser, so we're calling that maxed out as well. It'd be interesting to see where they go next. They only brought 1 here, so you'd expect them to bring 1 to Monza. Probably across one of those 3 areas that they did earlier, a front wing downforce, body drag, or rear wing downforce. They've got something on each of them. Not sure where they're going with that yet, but that car's pretty steady as well. Weight and diffuser maxed out. It's kind of what I've been yelling about for months, it seems. Eval, unfortunately didn't bring anything here. They have got a pretty good weight upgrade, and they've sort of randomly developed other areas, but they are still lagging a little bit behind, unfortunately, in the development ranks, but are in that battle. So when we're talking arguably Nordstrom, but we're definitely talking from Adonis all the way down. There's about 5 teams, some will argue 6. 6 teams, all very, very close in their team standings. I mean, it changes every round. So at the moment, Adonis have leapt about 2 or 3 teams to jump to the top of that pile. Eval were there and are now dropping back slightly, but as shown in previous rounds, it only takes 1 good result to really move you up. Just ask Right Kilk. Flag to flag, next up, they brought 2 developments here, so that's great, and they brought front and rear wing downforce. They've carried on the front wing downforce they've done previously and started off the rear wing downforce, having already maxed out weight and diffuser, basically 99 on diffuser, we're counting that. So pretty standard sort of route there. Red Archer next up, having pretty much maxed out weight and diffuser. They also upgraded last time in 2 areas and haven't been able to bring anything here. So they had a very strong car last time out, but that does mean some cars do catch you up this time. But they have been doing front wing downforce and body drag, so the car's still up there. Storm dropping down the standings, unfortunately, but they have brought an upgrade, so everyone's still upgrading, by the way, even all the way down here. So this is front wing downforce they've brought to this one. They went to 48 now. They haven't maxed out anywhere yet. Arguably diffuser's probably got 1 more upgrade to go. It's at 88 at the moment. Weight maybe a couple. They have started body drag as well. Who else we got? Zurich. They're probably the last of that sort of group that we were talking about. They've near enough maxed out the weight and diffuser, and they've done the front wing and body drag. There's a lot of common themes here when you start looking at where everyone's starting. Now at the start of the season, everyone sort of went off on their own little tangents. Now we're sort of halfway, well, just over halfway through the year, and everyone sort of got to the same sort of stage now. We were saying the other round, a couple of rounds ago, that it's one of the closest the cars have been since Australia at round 1. And as we come on to the development chart towards the end of this show, you'll see actually how close a lot of these teams are now. Even though these things do make a difference, even 1 or 2% can make a small difference. The fact it's very much driver orientated still is why people love this league. Even though all this goes on, if you have a driver who can really nail it, they can, you know, move themselves up into that top few places. Next up is somebody who we haven't had at the back of the grid all year so far. So this is Madcape. So well done for you for not being last on the grid anymore. Granted, it's only on the one result last time out, so they got a better. They got the same amount of points, but they got the higher best result. Put it that way. And they brought upgrades, and they brought the upgrades I like, and they brought weight and diffuser, and for the sake of it, basically maxed out both. So they've got 100% weight, 97% diffuser. And previously they had done front wing downforce, so this sounds all very normal for most of these things we've been talking about. Ignore the front wing drag element that they had done. It was a complete waste, and they'll admit that was a huge mistake. But looking at it, they are trying to fix those mistakes. They listened somewhere quite a few rounds ago and started doing the weight and diffuser. Good on them. It has shown in the way the car has moved up our rankings. They didn't quite maximise it with the car itself, but last round they did. You can see all that in our aftermath show that we did last week. Where we sort of went about how the race went and things for them, but the fact they're now no longer bottom in the standings, it's got to be a very positive thing for Madcape. Well done, guys. They even got my team of the week last time out, so well done. One of the guys that would not have got team of the week, but did quite well actually, is Street Fighter. Yes, they have brought upgrades. I'll come to check that in a minute. Yeah, Street Fighter, they brought weight and diffuser. Let me have a double check on some of this, or maybe. Wait, yeah, so they maxed out weight and diffuser. They have maxed. They haven't maxed out weight and diffuser. They maxed out the front wing downforce. They brought weight and diffuser this time out, which is the areas we've been saying they should develop. They were They were the last people to start developing those areas. I shall just go back and double check. Yeah. But they have done a very good body drag, and they've done some rear wings. So they've got a bit of a mix going on. But the two areas. Interesting, the two areas that we know every other team has worked out that have sort of been building the most. There's a good chance, guys, with the graphics. If I've made an error, it's my fault. Don't blame the graphics guy, Alex. It's probably me that selected the wrong ones. In fact, I should go back. Did you say who are we saying about? Red Archer. Let me have a double check. I've got them as 94%. Now you're making me a liar, aren't you? Yes, a lie. Yes, they have got 100% on both. Sorry. And Storm at 100% on weight. Did we say that? No. Okay. Apologies there, guys, for that. Some slightly older graphics. Yeah. But no matter, I suppose. The correct standings are at the end, but we'll get to that. So, yes. Poor Street Fighter at the back, but actually if they keep developing these two areas of weight and diffuser, which we know are the bigger areas for time gain, looking at all the other cars, they've done quite well on the other areas, so towards the end of the year they could be right back up there again, because other people have to develop these areas which you know are slower. So that's all your cars. There's an awful lot more, so that's the chassis effectively. We've then got the engines. So if you hadn't noticed before, there's 4 engine manufacturers. Of those 4, every team has to have bought in and become a customer. So we'll go through them as well. So these are your engines now. So you've got Martex, Quasar, Talos and Valiant. Most teams are in the Martex camp. They brought an upgrade last time out of 10% mapping. So they haven't brought anything to this event at all. Which is a little bit of a strange call, maybe, some will say. It was the first race back from the summer break, so fair enough, bring something to that event, but not to bring anything to what is quite an engine track of Spa, maybe, whereas everyone else has brought something. Everybody else has now decided to go down the boost route as well, which is mapping in this case. So Valiant started that off a couple of rounds ago. Martex followed suit last time out, and Quasar and Talos have now started those areas. You can see from the difference, so for example, Quasar have brought an 18% upgrade, so it's a slightly bigger upgrade, whereas Talos only managed to bring a 13%. Valiant have only then managed to bring a 10, but they had already done 18, so that's effectively the Quasar one. So they're sort of one up on that, I suppose. So they've got 28 as a total now. But it's very different still between these guys. So you look at, say, Talos there, for example. They've got nearly double the fuel efficiency of anyone else. Whereas Martex have got the most power. You suddenly go, Valiant have got the most mapping. Quasar is sort of a reasonably average mix of the three. And it's quite exciting that everyone's sort of gone slightly different routes. And it'll just matter to different races, I suppose. So, yeah. Depends on what your driving style will be. Higher fuel efficiency in their Talos means that they can potentially run less fuel, which makes the car lighter anyway. Or they can run the same amount of fuel but use their higher boost settings for longer, which gives them less lap time effectively, for more of the lap. If you've got power, that's just the brake horsepower of the engine. If you've got that as a base, that's higher. When we're coming onto the engines now, everyone's engines wears as well, so they have to pick different engines. So of doing that, that's the brake horsepower that drops down, not the other areas. So if you've developed the power, you don't lose as much. And then mapping is the boost, so that means that yes, you've got those same boost levels, but your boost level is higher of those areas, so you go quicker, basically. But it does use more fuel and all that, so you need the fuel efficiency as well. It's a really balancing act, and yeah, just personal preference, realistically. Maybe some team managers out there, well, they're not going to go against their engine manufacturer, but maybe they'll sing some praises for some of them, maybe. Martex, of course, done by Nordstrom, Quasar done by Edge, Talos done by Hawkeye, and Valiant done by ACR. Of that, let's go into the engines. So engine choices, so they've all got 6 engines to use throughout the season. You can buy 2 more. Of those 6, you have to have used all 6 at least once before you can buy any others, but each of them wear roughly, as a rough guide, about 30% every race. It works out per kilometre you actually drive, and that assumes you finish every race. So if you only did 10 laps on it, you haven't worn the engine very much, unless you blew it up. We'll come on to that. ACR, so they've brought 2 brand new units here, both on Unit 5. So it's 100% unit for Bristow and Alex. You can see underneath the names there, it shows you what engines they've got left. So for example, under Bristow there, he's got 3 units there that have got crosses next to them, so they're unusable. But he's got 100% unit of Unit 5 and 100% unit of Unit 6. Hasn't touched yet. Whereas Alex there, for example's Unit 3 and 4 is at 65 and 56 respectively. So they're usable, again, potentially 2 rounds, but definitely 1. So that's sort of what that graphic shows. We'll show that on all of the teams. There will be obviously this is all sort of private information for the teams, so the exact figure won't necessarily be there, but we can work it within a couple of points, 2 to 3 percent, because it's out of 100% error rate either way. Right, Edge. They've also brought 2 brand new units, both at Unit 5 as well. It seems to be the sort of standard. If you started off using Unit 1 at round 1 and you haven't had many DNFs and things like that, then this might be where you're sitting currently. So yeah, they're using 2 brand new units for Jarl and Petter. This is the one a few people will be waiting for, no doubt. Epic. On the face of it, looks like a different choice. They've decided to use unit 29% unit and a 26% unit. Should we get into this, lads? Yeah, okay. This wasn't really their choice. There's an argument whether they, if you didn't know, yeah, if you didn't know, then that all the teams can, they have to submit their engine choices, tyre choices, that side of stuff, ahead of the event. So they have to have done that by Friday night, just gone. That all gets publicly released on Saturday, and then used on Thursday. So you can't edit that in that time. So you have to make your choice without knowing what other people are doing. You have to do it ahead of time. So you have to learn your testing to pick your tyres and engines, that sort of thing. So The argument here is that Epic missed that deadline, or had some error, you know, whichever, depends who you speak to. But either way, somehow it didn't get submitted. So it meant that the default is that you still get the engines you used the previous round. Sounds okay in most cases. In some respects, they're kind of lucky that the engines, but they are kind of at the one of their worst points. So Boy Milan got issued with a 29% engine, which is what his engine had worn down to. Jeffrey Forney actually got issued a 0% engine because he blew his engine. He actually took a fresh engine last time out. During the race, something happened. It went into neutral and blew the engine. So by doing that, it basically ended up as a 0% engine. You can't race with a 0% engine. You can't. Yeah, obviously, if you've got nothing there, then that's fine. So, so we then rules had to come in place. It's not happened before. It's a very specific set of circumstances that's unlikely to happen. You have to have blown your engine the previous race and then not submitted on the Friday. This, I think, is one of the first non-submits in absolutely ages for anybody. It's one that's particularly highlighted because of that 0% engine, and because it's quite high profile now. Yes, this is we think of Epic as being an established team. This is somebody who's fighting for wins. This is somebody who have won this year, and so what. But they're a new team ultimately. Yes, they have taught a lot of people about the development and what they should be doing, and we even have learned from that on this show. But they do make mistakes. Everyone does it, and so we put it down to that. Anyway, Jeffrey got then given the because if it's an under 20% engine unit, you couldn't normally select that unit anyway. The system doesn't let you because it knows you're not good enough. So by default, he then got his next worst engine, which in this case was Unit 1 that he would have used to start the season. So that ends up as a 26% engine. This will harm them. This will have hurt them as well, considering they had double DNF last time out. It was not a great event for them. They're potentially getting caught by Evolution now as well. Battle of the new teams. They've got Spa, which is a very engine track, and 2 very worn engines. Doesn't mean they're going to blow up necessarily. You can get to the end absolutely with a 29 and 26% engine. That's not an issue. It's how quickly you do it that matters. So they're going to have a lot less parameters to work with to be able to get to that end as well. There we go. Yeah, apologies that Risto's engine Pack 4 wasn't showing on that graphic. Doesn't really matter. He's not using it. If you want to know, look back at the last show. It was on there. But yeah, no particular hidden data. All this data is actually hidden anyway. All the engine life of all the teams. It's just our best worked out assumptions based on the kilometres run by these teams. If you want to find it out, track back and see what Risto ran, engine 4, work out his kilometres. Do the homework yourselves, guys. Come on now. We're not spoon feeding you here. Particularly you, Cameron Roger. I know you're tracking things. Come on. Dennis Jordan as well. Definitely. Mr. Statistician Dennis Jordan over there. Speaking of them, Evolution and Dennis Jordan's team. 100% engines for both drivers. Fair enough, it's Spa. Bot keeping the seat, pounding to the rest of the season. They've got a couple of fresh units and in Bot's case a couple of units that can still be used as well. You'll note that we are getting to that point where you would assume the guys that are using 100% engines here are quite likely to use the other 100% engine that most of these guys have left at Monza next time out. It makes sense, it's Monza. In which case, then we're getting to the stage of when people buy new engines after that, if they do. And then after that point, they get back of the grids, and that impacts championships, and it's a bit more tactical in that respect as well, which we're coming on to. We already saw Epic try and do that last time out, in that they had used it, and they were the first ones that could have even selected one. They did with Fournier's car. The fact that that got written off as a 0% will have hurt that team. That got on the back of the grid. They already had a back of the grid penalty, so it didn't really matter. It cost them £1 million for that engine. It blew up. And effectively, you would have expected that brand new engine to last not only last race, but potentially 2 more races as well. Not necessarily here at Spa, but 2 other races further down the line, which they haven't got the option for now. So in Epic's case, he's going to have, he's going to have to buy another engine, which will go through in Fournier's car even, sorry, to get him through 3 more races, and then use his others. He may well, potentially, struggle. In fact, that's a good point. Should we look back? You look back at what he's got here. So I'll quickly show you what's going on. So you look, he's using Unit 1. He's not going to use that one again after this race. That one's done. He's got Unit 3, which will be able to do 2 more. He's got Unit 4, which can do another one. He's got last 2 that can then go do 1, 2, 3, 4, 7. Might just get to the end with this, but you think he's going to have to use quite worn engines towards the end, actually. So I would expect them to be buying a new one at least for a couple of rounds. You think we've still got Monza going on, we've got USA coming up. There's quite a few tracks that are quite engine heavy. You might want to use them. Right. I think we've seen enough of Epic now and their mistake, haven't we? Have we? Hawkeye, next up. They've got 200% engines. Oh, that's actually... I have just been given an even newer thing to go for, which I quite like. Should we go with always too tall, too small, bigger, better? Okay, let's stick with that. Actually, it's Butcher in the car with Costa. I got told last minute that, so thank you very much for last minute graphics. But yes, Critchwood sitting in that car once again as reserve. Didn't have the best times. Well, in fact, the team didn't have the best times last time out with DNFs. But they've got fresh engines here. Chris gets another chance in a good car. Costa can show us what he can do. Rain hasn't necessarily been his friend, but other than that, been a very fast guy. So we'll see what Hawkeye can pull out the bag this time out. But they've got 2 fresh engines there with still a fresh engine left in each car, and arguably a 93% one on the Butcher first car, whether it's Martini later in the year or somebody else, because Butcher on his 3rd race now, I believe, so can only do 4 on his reserve contract. I wouldn't imagine he would take up the primary deal, which is what he would have to do more than 4, because he's on potentially to win a title or 2 down in Formula Challenge. So I'd be surprised at this stage of the season if drivers like that would give up titles to drive a few rounds extra here. Nordson, 2 fresh units as well for them, with Fidek and Cooper sticking in the cars. So they've got 100% units. They've still got 1 fresh unit each as well, which I imagine again will probably be used at Monza. Adonis, we've got Ethman and Yuri in there. So Ethman's got a 70% engine. He's still keeping 1 fresh one. Looking at that. They did theirs slightly differently in that they selected Unit 5 for race 1, just to really mess with my head. And then Yuri's gone for a fresh engine and still has a fresh one as well for probably next time out. Who else have we got? Oh, hello Demelo. Nice to see you as well. We're coming on to you guys. Eval. They've obviously just sort of decided here, well, we haven't got the car. We won't have the engines either, shall we? Yeah. So a 31 and a 45 for Eval, not the best, but they have still got lots of fresh engines for later rounds when they think they can probably maximise what they're going to do. Flag to Flag have picked 2 fresh engines. Now we have got a little bit of news there in that we have got a to be confirmed. We don't know who's in that car yet at this stage on the Monday. All we know is that it's not Michael Ayres. Depends how friendly you think the team is, how you want to, if it's that harsh. I don't know how exactly they work. Either way, he's either been asked not to drive in this team or pushed. Don't know how it works exactly. I'm told he's looking for a drive elsewhere in the league, so that would suggest he's been pushed. And in all honesty, kind of rightly so. We did kind of have a go and say about his poor finishing record in the last Aftermath show. So I don't know whether that goes down as a Scrutineer scalp, the same as Sutton, maybe. Maybe. Somewhere along the line we may have another error in there. I thought that as well, looking briefly at the Eval engines there. We may well have another look at that, because I do think they selected different engines. But for this to be confirmed one, I'm not sure who's going to be in it. We'll find out, no doubt. They're going to keep us waiting all the way till Thursday. Might even end up being Michael Ayres again, but I'm told it won't be. and I'd argue rightly so. There's a few drivers on this grid who have struggled this year. Probably is, you know, he has been one of those guys. Mark Hutchison has been bringing in the majority of the points for this team to get them where they are, and they're in such a close battle that actually bringing in somebody, as we saw at say Madcade, brought in a driver, even if it's just before races, maybe that'll work better. You don't need many good results to get them up there. The car is decent enough as well to be right up there, so why not bring somebody in who could move you up? Finishing, you know, 6th or 7th in the standings is a lot more beneficial to the team than finishing like 12th, which is potentially on the cards one way or the other at the moment, depending on what you do. Red Archer, like I say, this area keeps on moving, so well, it probably won't even be Pedro Gomez. I'm not too sure if he is racing in that car anymore, but we haven't been told anything different. So for now, I don't know if they know either, but for now, that whoever's in that unit car has a 69% unit, and then they've also got a reserve driver or emergency driver for Fabio Sixter with a 91% engine, which is sort of their best. They've kept 100% engines, one of each, to probably use at Monza, and they've then chosen the next best they had. Fabio Sixter, there's a lot of question marks around him, but I won't go quite into all that. I know some of you have opinions on this driver. For the sake of GPVWC, he's only done one race, and that was in the Academy Series, which he did win, but that's a lot lower standard than Super League is. Yeah, we'll see how he does. It's a big leap. From what I'm told, he'll be absolutely fine. But yeah, there's a lot of guys watching on him particularly. Storm. Apparently still sticking with the same two drivers. 100% units, Unit 5s with fresh units still to come as well. Unlike Flag to Flag, who after my berating last time out swapped their driver, Storm haven't, and they have kept with Menno. So yeah, so more times of spinning off and laps down and causing havoc in blue flags, I guess. Great. Zurich. They got 100% unit for Paolini and an 84% unit for the new driver coming in of the reserve driver. Ben Willis is taking that seat. So we haven't got what we hoped for. Apparently he's on holiday. So reserve driver Ben Willis steps in. What a place to do it at Spa. Interestingly, they didn't give him a 100% engine. He has got 2. So whether they're using that further down the line, not too sure. Or maybe they just go, well, we'll just give Ben this and keep the nice engines for when he returns. I don't know really, but that's nice to see Ben making his debut this year there in a race seat. He has raced previously in different years. He's been reserved now for a couple of years. Yeah. Madcape kept keeping with their new double point scoring driver lineup, I suppose, in Daniel Brewer and Tobias Olsen. Well done. Engine wise though, not quite sure if they've done the same thing as Epic and not chosen their engines, because it would potentially appear that way, or if they've just gone, you know what, we'll save the 100% units for something else. Not too sure. It's a bit. It would be a bit of a weird call to have done that, because if you've got Daniel Brewer in what we know is only 4 rounds, and he's scoring very well, you know, scored 5th last time out, why would you not give him all the tools you can to score as many points in those 4 rounds as possible? You just watch me, Menno. We watch you slowly spin off. We do watch you, or get in the way. It does happen a lot. I'm sure a lot of drivers could tell you, yeah, stories of trying to lap you. I'm sure there's many that we can go on about, but that's another time. See you at GPV Day. SOS, they have also not listened to me and have stuck with Ben Howell. He has got a fresh unit though, but the returning Florian Gaia comes in. So they've gone mad in that their best result of the season was with David Franchit last year. That last race as a stand-in. He's still their reserve driver. They're not putting him back in the car, so they put their best result of the year and effectively sat him on the bench. And we should put Ben Howell in, who's got the worst DNF record of anybody this season. Even worse than Michael Ayres, and Michael Ayres has been replaced. That says something, doesn't it? Anyway, Florian's back, so great to see him back. Unfortunately, in the 39% engine, that might not be the best thing in the world. I hope that his family issues have been sorted out, and he has the race prep for this, because yeah, you've got big shoes to fill now. In that Dave Frangic came in and gave a big stamp on one of those cars for next year, I'd imagine, assuming that car is in this series next year, because at the moment, yeah, they are struggling a little bit. So yeah, we'll see. Yeah, well, I don't know why they take bad engines for Spa. Not too sure. I mean, there is an argument that if you don't think you're going to do very well anyway, because a lot of teams will bring 100% engines to Spa. So you can go, well, we need the 100% engine to compete. Or you go, we're not going to compete there. Everyone's using up their 100% engines in Spa and Monza. So when we get to certain other tracks, we can use our 100% engines and potentially be better than everyone else. It's a risky strategy, but if you're down the back end, it's something you could do. I don't know, maybe I'm giving them too much credit and they've just messed up and should have picked higher engines. Hey, who knows? I'm not too sure. Pay driver, Jarrett? Not too sure who you're particularly meaning there, but I don't think we've got anyone who's a pay driver yet, do we? Actually paying for the seat. Not too sure that's the case. But yeah. So, that was engines anyway. Lots of fresh engines in there, isn't there? So only a few exceptions there. But we should go on to tyres. So, a lot of people have chosen the same this time out. There is a few different strategies though, which I quite like, but yeah, a lot of people have chosen the same, and a lot of them at the top end of the grid. So, this, working down the standings again, so you look at this and go, most people have gone the three softest, so ultra soft, super soft, and soft. You have to use 2 of these, but they can use all 3 if they'd like. Of course, if it's a wet race and you use one of the wet tyres, that all goes out the window. You can use whatever you want. But so you've got the only people on the top half of the grid who haven't got the three softest is Edge. They haven't got the soft, they have got the medium. So it gives them a little bit longer options. Maybe if it rains, something like that, they might be able to go onto the harder compound tyre. They haven't had that option in the past on certain races and probably regretted it, so maybe they're giving themselves that option this time out. Everyone then has the ultra soft of the top guys there to qualify on. In the back half of the grid though, again, a lot of teams still picking the three softest tyres. So you have to go all the way down to effectively the back teams there to pick who's doing something a bit odd. We've got the only people without the ultra soft tyre though is Zurich. So they've decided that sort of tactically, I think they said with this one, that they were thinking with back of the grids and certain things like that, that actually they would rather have. There's no need for the ultra soft tyre because they're not going to qualify basically. They're going to use. Yeah, they're going to use the harder free compounds. They've got the super soft, the softs, and the mediums. Fair enough. Whereas Mad Cape don't have the super softs and they have the mediums. They've got the ultra soft to qualify on, and then they've got the 2 harder compound tyres. Nobody using the hard tyres. Don't even know why we still keep it on the list realistically. And then even Street Fighter picked the 3 softest. So let's put that into a nice little thing for you. So here you go. So you look at the top chart there, and you go ACR, Epic, Evolution, Hawkeye, Norton, Adonis, Eval, Flag to Flag, Red Archer, Storm, and Red Bull Street Fighter all pick 3 softest tyres. Then, weirdly, we haven't even got the same choices again. So you then have Edge on their own doing the ultra soft, super soft mediums, Mad Cape on their own doing the ultra soft, soft mediums, and Missouri doing the super softs, mediums. Yeah. So they're the 3 teams that have sort of gone a bit off key. They're the 3 that potentially it could look a bit different for and that you might want to look at. Yeah. Everyone else has sort of done the same sort of thing. So you think that, you know, if that many teams do these things, maybe that's the right way to do it, or it's a safe way to do it. Depends how you look at it. The guys on the bottom half there, the 3 guys are sort of gambling a bit. Yeah. I like a gamble though. It's nice. Cards full of lols. Right, should we go through the development chart? So there's some, you know, even having gone through all that for the cars, so we're going to look for the chassis totals now. So this will give me everybody. So this is in points that they developed on the car overall, excluding like pit tire change and repair rate. This is what they're all on now, right? So that says total, doesn't mean where they particularly used it. Okay, so for example there, Hawkeye have got the most points on the car. Depends where they've used it, but in theory, got the most developed car, followed by Epic, Storm, Evolution, Edge, Red Archer, Adonis, Flag to Flag, ACO in the bottom half when you look at that. Whereas Edge have jumped quite far. Remember, previously they were quite far down. Zurich, Nordson, Street Fighter. You then go into Mad Cape and you go to Eval, who have developed quite a lot less than everybody else. But what does that mean? So you'd expect, in theory, that to be the speeds as well. So you expect the Hawkeye to be the fastest and the Eval to be the slowest. But is that actually the case? Because they developed areas, but if you develop the wrong area, it's irrelevant really. Let's have a look. So, right, before I put this up, always these disclaimers, because this always gets everybody riled up. What have I done? Have I missed one there? 240 for Mad Cape. Let's have a look, see, on my other chart for Mad Cape. Apologies, on the Mad Cape one, we didn't include the dirty air, basically. 8% dirty air, that's where that one comes from. I don't know why they did it. That's why we didn't include it. Yeah, so we'll get before a few disclaimers with this, because we're going to put up what we think is the time difference between each of the cars now. So by doing that, it gives you a guide, but it's only the chassis difference. It does not include the engine manufacturers and what they've done with the engines, because it would be unfair to include that, because we're doing this over one lap, but actually, like fuel efficient, all the different areas that we've explained in engines doesn't necessarily all equate on one lap. You'd just find the ones with the highest boost would probably be the best. Doesn't necessarily work that way, or the highest power, depending on what you want to work on. So it doesn't include engines. It then doesn't include the engine percentage in if it's worn or fresh. That sort of element does not include that either, and doesn't include obviously any tyre wear or anything to do with the tyres that they may be on or the tyre choices. But gives you an idea of time slightly. So let's have a look. So starts at the team at the top, sort of as a base time, which is the quickest. So in this case, we think Hawkeye's car will be the quickest around this track, chassis-wise. Followed very, very closely by Epic. By Epic. Then Evolution. Then ACR. Adonis. Flag to Flag. Storm. Red Archer. All of which are within 1/10. That's 7 cars? 8 cars. 8 cars within 1/10. I mean, that's mad when you look at that. Even just behind that, you go Zurich, only just behind it. Mad Cape. Then Edge. Nordson. Eval. And Street Fighter, unfortunately, still a long way behind. But everybody really there, ignoring probably Street Fighter and Eval, everybody's within 3 tenths. In fact, if you take out Nordson as well, everybody's within 1.5 tenths. That's absolutely nothing. All those things can be ripped up by the driver themselves. They can really make such a difference, which is why we still see Edge, even though the car looks a long way down that chart. It's not a lot of time, and their drivers can make that difference up. Like we say, like we said, yes, Hawkeye potentially the fastest until they put their engine in there. Yeah, that might be right, Yuri. But you know, they make the engine, they make the Talos engine, so it's what they want. So that's their choice, I suppose. Yeah, I think that's quite an exciting graphic. Do you not? Anyone? Any surprises there? I mean, we may not see this as truth. You know, we've seen a few up there before. If you look at that and go, well, actually, you look at the difference in the teams, and you go, well, look, the ACR and the Adonis are basically the same. Flag to Flag is very close in there. The Storm is still a good car. The Red Archer is still a good car. The Zurich, all these cars that are quite far down the standings now potentially, still have the ability there to be right at the top. Why wouldn't they be? So it's, if you're not, then it's either blame your engine manufacturer, I suppose, or blame your management for your tyre choices, your engine choices, or your strategy. Or you start looking at yourself for your driving, don't you? Yeah. Like I say, it can be very much on the drivers. They can make up, you know, a few tenths if they really went for it. But the standard this year is very high. SOS caught up almost 2 tenths. Well, yes. As we've said, they're now developing the 2 areas that we think, in fact the whole league thinks, is the best areas for the most time gained. So they will catch up. They're a long way behind, but yes, they were a lot further behind, so they are catching up. So it just shows actually if they do start scoring points, they've got no right to be scoring points at the moment, realistically. This is where Madcape, who are battling away with them, should be making hay and really getting the points in, which again, why they've got such a poor... It doesn't count for their poor engines, for example. We'll go through some tops and bottoms now, shall we? Some of these are always a little bit controversial. There's a lot of people I could pick in these. We've sort of gone through some bits already. Now, top team, it's very hard to pick one for this time out, actually. Because of where it is and because all the cars are so equal, you can pick some safe ones and like looking at driver lineups as well. Now, I'm going to pick a team that I've picked previously and it didn't work out due to circumstances in driver lineup changes last minute, penalties applied last minute, and weather. So we're going to give them a chance because they have got the best car kicking around. Let's give Hawkeye a chance to redeem themselves on my set for success here. I could go easy. I could pick some other teams. I think they've set themselves up for the chance for success here. It's now up to them if they do it. The car is right. The car is ready. They've got fresh units in there. You know, they haven't got particular penalties as far as I'm aware, although they do seem to be changing quite regularly. You know, there's a lot that can happen, and I think with these two, I'd say that Butcher and Costa are all very, very capable of scoring very good points, and they need it to bounce back after last time as well. So it'd be quite. I'm still going with them. I think you can disagree if you like, but I think they are set for a good race. They haven't had a really, really good race for a while, particularly with two cars. They've sort of been changing lineups and looking at things, and the car is there. You know, why not? I suppose it's Spa. Let's give them a go. I think everyone's to be right up there. Bottom wise, we've spoken about it already, and it's one of these things where we sort of say that, you know, they're going to struggle. Well, yeah, but if anyone can get out of this, it'll be these guys. So they've got a reason to worry, and that's basically their prep for this race has not worked out well. And we've gone through it already. You know, yeah, Epic. We've already gone through it really, in that they've made some poor one mistake, and it could cost them dearly. You know, all the way through this round, unfortunately. If anyone can do it and get out of it, we've already shown they can do. So why can't they? I'd love them to do it, but you look at all the teams and go, that's a team that needs to worry this time out. The engines out there, that won't be their race prep either. They've got a more concentrate on getting those two cars to the end rather than necessarily battling away at the front. Yeah, so that's my one there. That's my set reason to worry. How do we get those lap times out of interest? It's a theoretical lap time. It's not that we get somebody out there actually driving the car around it with a setup or anything else, because obviously the setups can make a big difference. If you've got an awful lot of front wing development, you'd have a very different car to if you had a lot of rear wing development, that sort of thing. As a very basic one. Course, it's straightforward picks again. Yuri, course. Give me a reason to pick you. We'll pick you. But, you know, it's straightforward, but if you're watching this and you're going to watch the race on Thursday, that's really the way to look at it. There's no point in putting crazy necks on the line for these sort of things. We could have gone with Madcape, but I think they picked the wrong engines. We could have gone for Mazurek, but to be honest, the driver lineup's not as strong as sometimes. You can't go for Street Fighter. You start looking at, you could look at flag to flag depending on who goes in that car, but I can't pick them because they haven't got two drivers set. But in theory, that car could do very well. You start looking at Red Archer. Again, we don't know exactly who's driving there. It's an unknown quantity driver-wise. Where, you know, you don't want to go safer, presumably, to go the ACR or Edge side of stuff. But again, I don't really want to pick them every time. So where else do you go with it? I mean, you start then looking at people like Nordstrom. The car's not quite there, I don't think, yet. You start looking then, you could look at Evolution. You could argue them. Of course, that team does look very, you know, could be set for some success here as well. The car's very good. Two good drivers in there now as well. So they could be one. There's an awful lot up and down the grid. I don't think, you know, I've already said reasons to worry. I'd still say Storm is a very good reason to worry as well. That team car is being built quite well. you know, we need people to turn up. We need the right drivers in that team. It just doesn't have it. There's not many teams now that have the car and the drivers and the team management side of it to actually, you know, everyone does make errors, and it's fixing those points. So, yeah, yes, Red Archer could be, but again, I don't know who's in that second car. You know, Sixter in that one could do very, very well, but I know there's a lot of question marks around him. So we can't just, you know, you can't say that they are set for success, because they're not. They've got a chance for it. You know, Shepard replacing Pedro Gomez again could be a good chance there. He's a very quick guy, not necessarily the best reliability, but that is coming along, so that'd be quite exciting to see how he does in that car, because again, the Red Archer car is a very good car. So yeah, there's a lot of things you can do up and down the grid. Just some quick ones for you guys if you are watching the race on Thursday, that I would imagine have a look at Hawkeye. They should be up there, not to put too much pressure on them, I suppose, and watch Epic. Really, they've got reason to worry, but watch what they can do in that circumstance. Their backs against the wall now, but they could still be up there. If they can still come away with a double points or something like that, then very good work to them, and it puts some of the other teams to shame, really, doesn't it? That are struggling to score double points on a regular basis. That would be my thinking behind those two anyway. The race is on Thursday on this very channel and on the WTF1 Facebook page as well, where we're, you know, backing up thousands of views now, which is great. So it's nice to see everybody joining in and seeing really what GPVWC Super League is all about. So Thursday, 8 o'clock is the actual race in British summertime in that case for that one. We have got, that's brought to you by simnews.tv as well. We have got the Formula Challenge and the Super Cup, which are the two feeder series on the Tuesday and Wednesday preceding this week. Also brought to you by simnews.tv on this very channel on GPV. So make sure you hit that subscribe button to know and the bell notification to know when we've gone live, and then you can catch everything, including myself, on most Mondays, to let you know what's been going on either in the Aftermath show or the Scrutineer just before the race. I'm not around next Monday, actually, unfortunately, so you've got a week without me. Sorry to say it. I know most of you are not. They're now cheering, which is fine. Yes, I'm not around for the Aftermath show next time out, so we will be back around for the Scrutineer in 2 weeks' time from here, where we'll be talking everything to do with Monza, which will be exciting after we'll have known what's happened in Spa and all the ramifications of that. Might be a slightly longer show because we can talk a little bit about Spa at the same time. But yeah, that's pretty much where we're at. It's going to be exciting. I hope you all join us on Thursday. Make sure you subscribe and follow, and make sure you're doing all that. There is research. If you want to catch me for anything else or ask me any questions, the guys that are already part of GPV, I'm going to be in the Discord lobby in a few minutes, where you can grab me for anything else. You can berate me for the show and ask me any questions. For some other people, I'm actually going to be meeting the Street Fighter management tomorrow for lunch. So whether or not they can convince me to share a few secrets or whatever else to get them off the back of the grid, who knows? That'd be quite exciting. Or whether I can just sit there and just actually, you know, burn them face to face rather than on screen like this, which we've been doing for a lot of the season already. So that'd be quite exciting. So thank you to them for meeting us up in that way. That's nice. Yeah. So thank you, everybody. I shall join you again in 2 weeks' time. Remember, everybody, the race on Thursday. And David Fidek, love you.